Hello and welcome back to another episode of Branding with Becks. We are one week into part 2 of 2026, and here I am breaking out a solo episode already, but I think this is relevant, right? So The Devil Wears Prada 2 recently came out, and I did a blog post about it. I talked a little bit about it on my Instagram. It sparked a lot of conversation. You know me, I like to kind of add my 2 cents that no one asked for in there. And I wanted to talk about the movie. I wanted to talk about AI, fashion, the future of content, why social media kind of feels really draining lately, and how the movie really used nostalgia to play into a lot of our emotions and to bring a lot of us to the theater. So I'm someone that really doesn't go to the theater too often. I like to say the theater because I think it sounds really fancy. It's kind of like that opening in the AMC movies where Nicole Kidman does that whole speech about the theater and you just want the movie to start, but she keeps going. Anyway, went to go see this movie. I tuned into the simulation and it really got me thinking about a lot of different things. You may notice this different background right now. So I am still in my office. Actually got a new couch in my office, which my cat is currently sitting on, Mr. Banks. He's always a VIP here. And it looks a little different, but I want to kind of come up with like a Branding with Becks background, I think. Because right now you guys have really just been seeing my wallpaper, which is kind of peeking through in this background. It's not really working too well. But I think I'm going to switch that up a little bit. It is a Sunday. It's a social media free weekend. And I'm in the mood to do some content. So I've actually filmed 2 collabs today. And now I'm sitting down doing this with you guys, and then I think I'm gonna go for a nice long walk because it is nice outside. So without further ado, let's just get into it. People who haven't been to theaters in months suddenly bought tickets for a fashion sequel. Why do you think that is? So The Devil Wears Prada was a movie that was definitely a classic back in 2006, which I believe was around that time when it came out. And it became something that was endlessly rewatchable. There were quotable, iconic lines. The fashion was always fun to watch and see. It kind of gave Workplace a much more exciting and, I guess, a much more exciting and chic vibe than what actual corporate America is like. And it gave us that like millennial identity. So it was one of those movies, like kind of like Mean Girls, where you kind of tied an identity to it. It was about a time, and it just was a comfort movie, right? You could always put it on. It had quotable lines. I feel like there were so many funny monologues from there. If you think about like the cerulean sweater, you think about Miranda Priestley, she's really like a meme now. And you also think about the themes that just really kind of aged well. I think a lot of people kind of relate to maybe jumping into the workforce around then or thinking about what they wanted to do with their career, and it kind of set the stage for what we thought was to come. Looking at this from a marketing perspective, we have that nostalgia economy, which right now is booming. And I think that right now Hollywood's really selling emotional familiarity, communal memories, recognizable aesthetics, remember who you were when the movie came out, remember the themes, the storyline. So a few other examples, we could think about Top Gun Maverick, we could think about Barbie. And these movies became events because audiences already had that emotional investment in the movie before going to see the next one. I think this specifically worked in theaters because they wanted something different. Like they wanted group reactions, people dressing up. Like we actually have seen the collaboration happen. I think it's Old Navy, and I believe Walmart is actually coming out with its own line too. That is the Devil Wears Prada 2 movie line. There is a shirt, it's really funny. It says, "By all means, move at a glacial pace. You know how that thrills me," which is one of my favorite lines from the movie. And you could buy a t-shirt with that. They were sold out, unfortunately, when I went to Old Navy the other day. Lines like that are so iconic and memorable that people like to go and wear them and you know, it's a conversation starter. And while streaming is really convenient, I think the theaters really win in this aspect because it's an identity movie. It's fun. It's a fun, nostalgic ritual to go to the movies and to go and sit there and watch it. People complain about sequels, but then reward them financially and go to see them. There's a lot of reasons why this movie did really well. And I think one of those things was maybe just bringing in the community aspect, the t-shirts, the swag, the merchandise, tapping into your emotions. You've seen the first one. Where were you when you saw the first one? And that's the marketing side of things. So I want to pivot a little bit in this episode and talk about my personal experience going to see it and overall a few themes that I think are really important, especially if you're thinking about marketing yourself or you're someone that's just like a marketing nerd and wants to know more about some interesting takes. So first things first, when I went to go see the movie, it was definitely a classic with the classic Miranda snarkiness. We had a lot of fashion forward moments. It really captured that essence of the original, but also introduced new elements, right? So it had a lot of little Easter egg bits and pieces that you would only know if you saw the first movie. And then it kind of tied it together with things that are contemporary issues or things that we're kind of experiencing now that would really resonate with audiences today. So it was one of those movies that left me kind of reminiscing about like these characters and the storyline and One thing that really stuck out to me was the evolution of fashion over the years. There was a lot of moments of those glamorous runway shows, and then, the film just really reminded me of how authenticity has really changed since then in terms of fashion. For a while, it seemed like style, and this was like maybe back in 2006, was a very personal experience. And I think since social media evolved, since influencer drops and, all these hauls from all these big major retailers like Walmart and Target and Aerie, everybody started dressing the same. So fast fashion started to really take off, and I think social media definitely played into that. And then that fast fashion kind of led to everybody wearing the same styles. Right now we're seeing it where it's like summer's coming, here's the latest swimsuit collection from Target or from Walmart, and then everybody's gonna go and get the same exact stuff. And I think just as we're seeing a shift for analog living, people are starting to sway more towards thrifted finds, expressing themselves through their own clothing that they're finding themselves instead of just buying a whole haul that some influencer promoted. I think fashion really became a constant push for like consumerism, and it started to really lack that individuality piece. We're starting to see it shift back, which is exciting, but I think that's one thing that really stuck out to me while watching the movie. I feel like back in 2006, people were picking out clothing that really stuck with them, not necessarily because it was the latest haul or the latest drop or the latest that someone told you to go get. I don't know about you, but when I'm sitting on Instagram and someone has like a pile of clothes in their hands and they're like, haul from Walmart or haul from Target, like my anxiety is like it spikes, like I'm like, that is just stress. Like, where is all that going? Are you putting it in a chair in your bedroom? I'm stressed. You don't need a big pile of clothing for each season. So I'll be the one to tell you don't need the seasonal drop. You don't need the latest whatever. You can wear the same clothes from last year if you want. You can incorporate new pieces, but wear it because it feels true to you, not because you feel like you have to race and get the latest trend, right? So in the movie, artificial intelligence was described as a volcanic lava that will all get swept up in eventually. Wow, like they kind of just hit us with that, right? And it's just a very relatable quote, because we think about the concept of AI and how it was discussed, and it really mentioned how AI, social media, short attention spans, all of that's really shaping the creation of art, fashion, music, videography, photography, and more. Like it's just all kind of going into this content bucket. People used to create things for fun. Now it's like a content, and you have to use a hook and you have to do all these things to get people to watch your content. They really addressed how no one needs to create anymore. It's more about generating. So generating a lot of content quickly, ultimately removing like the soul or human elements from creation. And I will say, I do agree that journalism really lost a lot of its credibility, at least specifically over the last few years, very strongly. Headlines are really full of clickbait, but I do think there's still a reason for people to create, for people to write, photograph, videograph, like do things that they're passionate about. So I don't know about you, but I don't want my screens to be full of AI imagery. I really want to see real photos. So I want people's real photos of them, not the AI generated LinkedIn headshot that looks nothing like you. And this is just me, going on my rant here, but I don't understand. When I see an AI headshot on LinkedIn, it kind of takes away that trust factor, right? It's like, okay, this is a fake photo of you. It's very obvious to me what's an AI picture in some situations. And then the same thing with AI family photos. Don't you want photos of your real family? Like not an AI version of them? I don't know. You're going to look back and be like, oh, that's not what we looked like, right? Like, does that sound great? Like, I don't know. It just sounds crazy to me. So I'm here to just give a little friendly reminder today that I think it's important to remember to continue to create. Maybe we will get swept up like volcanic lava in AI, but I think people are craving that sense of personality, that sense of individuality again. And, I'm someone that really enjoys creating real content, like written posts, taking photographs from my DSLR camera. And maybe this is why I have such a hard time staying on social media lately, because I feel like the short videos are really starting to be more mind-numbing, and it doesn't really encourage me to scroll anymore. So I'm someone that's craving depth, reality, and realness. This world right now seems to be very curated by algorithms and posting to get validation. To me, it's kind of one of those things that currently on one of my social media free weekends, I just don't miss scrolling. I don't feel better scrolling. I don't know about you guys, but this movie really made me stop and think about that even more. So as we look to the future, I think a differentiator is to be someone that stands out in the field, isn't doing what other people are doing. If you're a fashion creator, that means creating content about real fashion that's interesting to you and your personality, not the same stuff that we see from everybody. And then if you're someone that's creating content, like written content, or if you're, whatever it is, recording videos, photographs, like keep doing that, keep creating, keep sharing the authentic stuff to you, because that's what people actually, at least me people, want to see what you're doing. I don't want to see an AI version of it. So just a little reflection. I feel like the movie was good if you want to go see it or wait for it to go on a streaming service. But I overall would say it was a good one. And I wasn't expecting to get so many takeaways from it, but you think back, right? You think back to 2006 when you first went to go see it, like where you were at, what you were doing, and what you were wearing. And I will say my fashion was a lot more creative then. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that. And with that, I will leave you guys until the next episode. Until then, keep showing up, keep creating, and keep building your story. And this has been a fun solo episode together. I look forward to sprinkling in a few more of these chats as we find some more relevant topics to talk about. And I'll catch up with you on next week's episode.